Following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on a break!
With Nick Eatman, Brian Broaddus, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Wednesday, May 10th, 2023, Season 19, Episode number 6. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios. At the Star, we're presented by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Got Nick, Brian, and Amber here with me today. We're talking Cowboys football for the next 45 minutes. And this is a busy week around here. We got a lot going on. Tomorrow night, if you haven't heard, the schedule release, the NFL schedule will be pushed out. We will obviously be pushing ours out, as every team will, and we'll have some interesting content for you guys, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Real quick, though, I want to get some thoughts from you guys on – what's that?
Are you worried about any other teams? Who are you competing against this year? You worried about?
We're competing against everybody and nobody. Like, what I mean by that
Are you worried about like the Buccaneers coming with something off the pirate ship?
No,
or
honestly, teams will take shot at us, but that's not really the lane we play in. We kind of float above all that stuff. Like our brand's above that.
I'm so
what
glad.
we typically do, as you notice, is we've leaned into the whole, celebrity thing.
Oh yeah.
And we do the fun videos.
Oh yeah.
And so we got some stuff planned for fans. I think they'll appreciate it. I think it'll be really good.
I'm sure at the end of the day they'll hand you the award.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. But look, we let them do their thing. And by the way, I'll never disparage another team.
No.
The only teams that lose this week are the ones that do nothing.
Yeah.
And most of them will do something. And if you do something that engages your fan base, more power to you. You're doing the right stuff. We just have our own lane, and we stay in that lane.
Did you guys
It's funny
create
this has become like one of the biggest
Oh sure.
type of videos are put out every
yeah.
year. What would you compare this to
In this world, nothing.
No.
And I'm talking sports media for NFL clubs. This is the biggest thing that any team does all year. And it didn't used to be like this. I remember when I first started working for the Cowboys. I remember Nick came to my office one day and was like, hey, the schedule's coming out tomorrow. And this had to be early 2000s. And I was like, okay. And he was like, yo, we can get this out like it's a big deal, get it out quick. And back then it was just like, how fast can you get it out? But to me, I was always thinking, that's kind of silly. We won't have any games until later. I can look at it later. I don't care. Mm-hmm. But over the years, I've started to realize like fans wait for this day because they start making plans around it. So it's become a big deal. And the NFL has done a good job of capitalizing on that, so much so to where now it has become the big deal for everybody to put out their best content to announce the schedule release. And that's actually a pretty cool thing. I like it. It gets me excited.
I was going to say, you're not in the middle of the season trying to get this production put together, even though you only have a couple of days.
Literally.
Less than a couple of days to do it.
Literally, our editors, Drew Ferguson and Connor McMahon, they are hard at work right now. I think last night when I talked to them, it was around midnight. And they were still working when they sent me the last message, and they're still working hard on this thing to get it ready. So it is a labor of love for our team, but it's a big deal.
Were you guys the first? Were you guys the first to do this?
No, we were among the first. When we did the Post Malone video, that was when I think it got taken to another level. Mm-hmm. But there were other teams that were doing it around the same time. That's when I think it was like, okay, game on. I think everybody started saying, okay, here we go. And last year, you could look at the quality of the videos that teams are putting out, and you saw, oh yeah, it's at a different level now. Teams are taking this really seriously. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Let's talk about the schedule, though. You look at the Cowboys' schedule, and obviously right now what we know are the home and the away games. We don't know dates yet. I'll run down the list. Here's who the Cowboys are playing at home. It's the Giants, the Eagles, Washington, Detroit, the Rams, New England, the Jets, and Seattle. And then the road teams they'll play on the road would be the Giants, Philly, and Washington again. And then Arizona, Buffalo, Carolina, the Chargers, Miami, and San Francisco. When the schedule comes out tomorrow, what particular things will you guys be looking at? And is there anything that's important from the standpoint of the team that would matter when it comes to wins and losses?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's certain things you can look at. You can always look at December, January, and, how's it going to end? Even though that's kind of a tricky thing to do because you don't know how this team's going to be, what the other teams look like. There's always going to be 3 or 4 curveballs in there that you think, that's not going to be a tough game, or that will be a tough game, and it turns out the other way. So, you just kind of, I think you really just look at the first month and the last month and just kind of see from there on based off what you think, maybe 3 road games in a row or 3 home games in a row stretch or something like that. But it's tough to tell. There's going to be a lot of people that'll have the whole schedule like their win, loss,
Yeah.
but really, it's just something to do in May.
I kind of look at that stretch of win those games. We talked about this on 105.3 yesterday, was what games, there's some difficult road games along the way that you're going to have to deal with. That the San Francisco one will be a difficult one. The Buffalo one will be a difficult one you have to deal with. Philadelphia is always one because it's the division opponent that you have to deal with. So I was kind of always thinking, how do they space out the difficult games? Do they give you an opportunity, or are they going to put them all like in the same area? Those, how many times are you having to make those trips? Are you guys having to make those trips across the country to play these games and stuff like that? So that's where I always look at it. That the last game is going to be a division game, and it's probably going to be Philadelphia. Because that's where I think if the schedule makers look at it, they say, who are the 2 favorites in the division? Even though I think it's going to be a really tough division, they probably say it's going to come down to Dallas and Philly. And so I could see them, that last game, when is that game? And is that going to be in Philadelphia, or is it going to be on the road? That's the one I always kind of look at.
What I'm looking at is what's happening Christmas weekend. What are we going to do with our Christmas weekend? No, but what game was it where we had that tough stretch this past year? Nick, you have the good memory. What game? You remember we had just a tough little stretch there where the Cowboys didn't really get much rest.
It's usually right around that Thanksgiving.
Yeah, 10 games.
10
days.
Always kind of right in there. And then what happens after Thanksgiving?
But I feel this past year it was a lot closer than what it usually is, where you had some extra days added in there, where it was just kind of too soon for the Cowboys. They didn't get enough rest.
Well, yeah.
So,
You're right. It was the Sunday at Jacksonville. Then they got Saturday at home against Philly. And then the next Thursday was at Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And so it was in a span of like 12 days. You played 3 games.
Well, they're going to make you.
Tough.
They're going to make you play probably Thursday back to back. They're going to probably, because the league now, it doesn't matter. You could play 2 Thursday games. So you're likely going to get your Thanksgiving Day game and then probably the next Thursday. They've done that before. They didn't do it last year.
Yeah, last year, ironically, was not like that.
But previous years, I have a feeling they're going to try and get you back into that rotation.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah,
the thing I'm looking at is when you have those types of weeks, it is kind of difficult when you talk about a young team. Overall, that they're not necessarily accustomed to maybe that kind of intensity in the NFL, plus the amount of recovery time. And one thing that they've talked about, several players this offseason, is kind of working on their body and just taking care of their body and their recovery and all that. So it's interesting to me seeing how it affects players in the way they play when you talk about younger guys that you're going to need. And you talk about the draft picks. I think there are a lot of guys in there that not necessarily are going to be starters, but you're definitely going to need them, and just kind of seeing how it translates onto the field and their recovery time.
Honestly, I actually wonder if that's an advantage for a young team. I know they're not accustomed to it, but as we all know, because we're getting older, when you're younger, you recover a lot faster than you do as you get older. And I wonder if you've got a younger team having those short turnarounds, or more of those games where you have short turnarounds, if that's actually better, because your body can bounce back a little faster than maybe if you had a team full of 30-plus-year-olds, right? And I don't know. I've never played an NFL game, so I really couldn't tell you what it requires. But it does make me wonder if that's actually an advantage for a young team.
Christmas Day is Giants in Philadelphia. If you wanted to
saw that
on a Monday night.
Okay.
So you just got to worry about the 24th is when you got to worry.
And actually, that's the cool thing about it, is I'm more worried about, like, as long as we're not on Christmas Day, because then if you're on Christmas Day, there's a 50% chance you could be on the road, which means you're now gone Christmas Eve
Yeah.
into Christmas Day. That ain't ever fun. So
That's why
we know that's not going to be us this
That's
year.
why that Black Friday game, that's actually terrible for
Yeah.
a road team.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
They just announced that, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like Jets and Dolphins, I
Yeah,
believe, and it's
yeah.
like, I mean, that should have been like Jets and Patriots, or that should have been something really,
Close.
really closer than that, because whoever's on the road, you leave on Thanksgiving Day, and then you're all day Friday, and we know, Thanksgiving is when you get together. I mean,
Yeah.
whenever it is, you figure it out. But if you're on a road team, you leave on Thursday and you're gone all day Friday for that night game. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's actually just as tough as Christmas. I
And
think.
as we all know, I know for my family, this is what we do. We actually take Friday to be our Thanksgiving
Right,
dinner.
right.
So now that's completely out if you're playing on Friday. So you miss Thursday because you're traveling, and you miss Friday when you would typically be able to kind of make that up. So, yeah, that's honestly, these are the hard things that a lot of fans don't think about for players and their families and how they have to adapt to the NFL schedule. It's
Christmas,
part
they
of
just
it.
announced Christmas night.
Yeah, Christmas is Philadelphia and
Yeah.
the Giants.
Train. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the way it should be. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
Do that
It's
kind
quick.
of stuff
It's
where,
fast, yeah.
it's quick, and maybe even the day of. You could possibly even say we're going to go the day of the game.
I don't think the league will let you do
They'll
that.
do that? They should.
Yep, they don't.
Oh,
Let,
change
you
that.
have to be in. I think there's
Make
a
a call,
rule on
Roger.
hours. They have to be in before a game.
All right, Nick, call Roger. Get that changed. Let's get that fixed. Hey, they're
You can do it in the
division teams. I really don't
preseason.
care.
Didn't we do it in the preseason one
Once,
time?
the only time I've ever been late.
Yeah.
The only time I've ever really been late was to the one time where we went the day of the game, going to Denver.
Yeah, and you got told, don't let that happen. again,
And it
right?
had to go through the back. It had to go through the back
Through
of
the
the plane,
players.
through the players.
And they're like, you're the one that was holding us up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the worst. It was like worse than. I mean, Michael Irvin wasn't on that trip anymore, but it was the first year Michael wasn't on the trip in 2000. Because that was a thing. When you were traveling and Michael
right.
was on the trip, it's like, what time is he going to
Yeah.
be there? It was
We'll
always
take
gonna
off when Michael gets here.
I
Yeah.
remember when I first started working here, one of the
Des?
trips. Yes, Des.
That was
London.
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 That was London.
Well,
London.
no. I'm talking about. I wasn't there. But when I started working here, you're not used to what time you gotta head down to the buses and all that. And I remember I'm like, oh crap, I'm running late. You're trying to figure out what floor you need to go to security and all that. And I remember being late, running late, feeling like I'm rushing, and then I see Des. I'm like, okay, I'm good. He's a big guy, big star. I'm good. I'm walking down with him or whatever. And then later on, I'm telling Nick the story. I'm like running late or whatever. And he's like, that's not really a good thing. If you were with Des, that's not really
That
a
means
good
you were
thing.
really late.
That means you were late, yeah. But, they were waiting on him, so.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens. They're not leaving Des. Let's just put
Yeah.
it like that. All right, we're going to take our first break a little early. When we come back, we're going to talk about draft grades. I know last week a lot of people were doing draft grades, but I'm a big believer in you don't do draft grades for the most recent draft. You do draft grades for previous years when you've actually seen some of these players play. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk draft grades over the last 5 years of drafts and tell you what we think about where the Cowboys are relative to how they've picked players. We'll be back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Hey, honey, can we talk?
Of course. What's up?
Well, I just thought you should know I've been curious about the new Dr. Pepper strawberries and cream.
Have you felt this way a long time?
No, I just think I'd really like the taste of Dr. Pepper, swirled with layers of flavor.
If you feel that way, I think you should try it, babe.
It's amazing. I mean, you're amazing too.
New Dr. Pepper strawberries and cream. The new flavor you deserve.
Want to use the Cowboys locker room's favorite products? Check out the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. Right now, you can get the Jack Black Playmaker, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The Playmaker includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word Cowboys. The Jack Black Playmaker, $10, free shipping.
No one knows where this market will go. Right now, it feels like a wild ride. But one thing's for certain, there's a way through it. And the experience and guidance of a Merrill advisor can help you get there. Because where there's a bull, there's a way. Find an advisor in North Texas at ml.com/bullish.
Merrill, a Bank of America company. What would you like the power to do?
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, registered broker-dealer, registered investment advisor. Member SIPC, a wholly owned subsidiary of Bank of America Corp.
Back to the break.
Register now for 2023 Dallas Cowboys youth camps presented by Invisalign. Athletes ages 6 to 16 are invited to learn from the best this summer at AT&T Stadium or Ford Center at the Star in Frisco. Football camps are led by former NFL players. Dance camps taught by current Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Save $25 when you sign up for camp by May 12th. Visit DallasCowboys.com/camps.
Welcome back. We are in the second segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. The segment presented to you by Blockchain.com. There we go. All right. Let us, what we're going to do is we're going to do some draft grades. I want to talk through the last 5 years of drafts going back to 2018. We're going to go through each draft and talk a little bit about where the Cowboys did well and maybe where the Cowboys wish they could have had a pick back or two. And then we'll kind of look at the totality of those 5 years and figure out what we think maybe was the best draft of that 5-year span. Let's start first with 2018. First round, they select Leighton Vander Esch. Second round, Connor Williams. Third round, Michael Gallup. Fourth round, Dorrance Armstrong. Fourth round, again, they got Dalton Schultz. And then Mike White in the fifth round. Chris Covington in the sixth. Cedric Wilson in the sixth. And then they finished the draft in the seventh round with Bo Scarborough. Outside of the first round pick, which obviously in all of these years, the first round pick is going to be the standout player. And they've done extremely well in the first round. What do you think was the best pick of this draft outside of Leighton Vander Esch?
Probably the Dalton Schultz pick. If you look at it,
why?
I feel like though, to me, that was a fourth round selection right there. You got 75 games out of him, 211 receptions for 17 touchdowns. That was one of those picks. I mean, you could talk about. I think there's still some questions about Michael Gallup. Dorrance Armstrong, I think, has kind of developed into a nice player. But Dalton Schultz at that time in the fourth round, when you grab a guy that's had that many receptions, and I guess you can look at Michael Gallup has had probably about the same number of receptions. But I think that the one with Dalton Schultz at the fourth round, that's some really good value right there for a player that. You're thinking about grabbing a tight end. Now, maybe he didn't develop as the best blocker or anything like that. But if you look at what he was able to do the last several years for you and what a good player he became for the quarterback, I would say that's the one that I would focus on right there for that particular round, other than the Leighton Vander Esch pick.
It's a really good draft. It's one of the better, drafts from top to bottom that they've had. Some of them they're drafting for other teams. Bo Scarborough, had a really good game against them one time. Mike White started for the Jets. By
the way, there are only two guys in this draft that are out of the league at this point.
Yeah.
Chris Covington and Bo Scarborough.
Yeah.
All the rest of them are still in the league.
It's a really good draft. I think Armstrong's a really good value pick there. And, Leighton was an all-pro his first year. Injuries have kind of hurt him, of course. But, not everybody's still with him. Some Dolphins have two of these guys, I believe. But, yeah, it's a good draft. Good draft. Schultz and Armstrong in the fourth round. That's where they've really had some success lately, is getting some good players in the fourth round. Those two picks were great.
If Michael Gallup had not gotten hurt, I think that, and you'd had him playing, maybe, going through. I think last year we're kind of on the edge right now with Michael Gallup, and where he's at. But, if he had not had to go through that injury and stuff like that and had a good year last year, you probably said, well, okay, Michael Gallup's the one. But like I said, I go back to Dalton Schultz and what they, at that particular spot in the draft, pick 137. You got some really, really good value out of that for him. You got a franchise tag at him. Yeah, he didn't re-sign with you and all that, but the quarterback relied on him and the offense relied on him quite a bit.
Well, hopefully Michael Gallup does come back better this year, because honestly, my memory on him is becoming quite faint. Like, it's fading away, remembering him making those good plays for you. And, he has the talent. He's a dynamic player. But even looking at the sixth round, Cedric Wilson, you get a guy that was a guy that was able to do what he did for you during that year where Dak Prescott really started relying on him and using him. And that's a guy from the 6th round. So that was really, really good. A guy that got a pretty nice contract somewhere else. I would have loved for the Cowboys to keep him. But, all in all, looking up and down, like Nick said, it's pretty good. But, yeah, good call on Dalton Schultz. So, for a guy that I definitely thought would not be here a long time ago, he made it work.
All right, let's move on to the 2019 draft. They had they didn't have a first-round pick that year. In the second round, they drafted Tristan Hill. Third round, Connor McGovern. Fourth round, Tony Pollard. They selected the two Jacksons in the fifth round, Michael Jackson and Joe Jackson. In the sixth round, they got Donovan Wilson. And in the seventh round, they had Mike Weber and Jalen Jokes. That draft, which one do you think was the best pick? Because it's interesting, you can look at it two different ways. You got Pollard, you got Wilson. Both are still with the team. Both are playing really well. You got Pollard in the fourth round. You got Donovan Wilson in the sixth round. Yeah. Which was the better pick for the Cowboys?
Wilson. All in all. I mean, he's a guy that came in here, and to me, especially at a position that you really needed, a position that we talked about for the longest time, safety, you need a safety. And then he comes in here and making an impact quite fast, honestly. The type of player that has no fear whatsoever. He just goes in there, tackles, and just doesn't even think. He just goes out and plays the game like you want him to play on defense. And looking at where he's at now with the Cowboys, looking everything he was giving to you, because you look at Tony Pollard, and you still had Zeke. You still had Zeke taking care of most of the carries and at the running back position. So all in all, Wilson at the sixth round, that was a very nice steal there.
What I love about the Pollard pick is that it sounds like when they did their pre-draft mock drafts with all the scouts go around the room, I don't know how many times they do that, 10, 12 times maybe. Pollard every time. It was Pollard every time they got Pollard. They targeted
in the fourth
him
round.
In the third, fourth, sometimes fifth. But when he was there to pick, they always took him. They just loved him, and they had a good role and vision for him. And it turned out, I didn't think they thought he was going to be their franchise tag player in 4 years. But I think that's a great pick. I mean, Donovan Wilson too. I think Dan Quinn coming really helped him. Kind of had a good vision for him. But Pollard, to me, that's a good, that was a great pick. Obviously, Tristan Hill wasn't, but, they got Amari Cooper in the first round.
Yeah.
They used that pick, and, he made the Pro Bowl that year. So that was.
I'm still kind of confused as to what happened with him, Tristan Hill.
But, that's also the thing. I mean, Brian can tell you as well as anybody, this drafting is not an exact science. Like, there are times when you're going to think you really know you're going to get a great player, and you don't. There are other times when you're taking a flyer and you end up with a great player. Like, it's just not exact. You can't tell how a person is going to adapt to the end. There's so many unknown variables. It's just impossible.
They knew the player. Rod Marinelli knew the player. And he went down there and he tried to learn everything he could about him. I think he did. I think it was up to the kid, though, to, how much did he really, really want to play? There were questions about him at Central Florida, the coaching staff. They had a change in the coaching staff and all that. And there were people down there that were saying, listen, this kid really doesn't love football. And Rod, and others felt like, well, we can get it out of him. We can put him in there. And there was times where Tristan Hill would show flashes of being successful, and then something would happen to him.
Yeah.
And so he never got to the point where, like a Tony Pollard, you could say what you want about Tony Pollard's a great pick. The problem is they just last year figured out what to do with Tony Pollard. Yeah. So Tony Pollard's numbers should be even greater for what he's able to do. And so, and you mentioned the Donovan Wilson pick. He's played 11 less games than Tony Pollard, but the sack totals, the tackles, the physicality he plays with, though, great value there for them in the sixth round.
All right, let's move on to the 2020 draft. Cowboys select in the first round CeeDee Lamb, second round Trayvon Diggs, third round Neville Gallimore, fourth round Reggie Robinson, the only player that is no longer in professional football from this draft. In the fourth round, later in the fourth round, they got Tyler Biadasz. Fifth round, they got Bradley Anae. And in the seventh round, quarterback Ben DiNucci, who is now playing in the XFL. And actually, I just read the other day he's got a tryout with an NFL team.
Denver Broncos.
Yeah,
It's been good.
So yeah, he's good in the XFL.
Yeah.
Again, he's still playing professional football, still taking a crack at it. This draft looks like one where they've had some success. Which was outside of the first round pick. Who's the best pick in this draft? I think we know, right?
Oh yeah, I mean,
do we want to say let's take out the first and the second round?
But the first round pick is a great pick
Yeah.
because they were true to their board. I mean, they didn't think that CD was going to fall to them. Got to also remember this draft was done, 2020 with COVID. We were just figuring out what's going on. It was done on a boat, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like they did a great job of saying, all right, we don't know if we need a receiver. We have Amari Cooper and Gallup, but this guy's just what they say, the flashing light, just,
blinking light.
There it is, and they the Diggs and Gallimore, those were high. Those were first round grades they had on both those guys. So they got 3 first round grades. I believe that's right. Maybe it wasn't a first round grade on Gallimore, but they had him graded higher than Diggs, but they took Diggs because of the position.
So let me ask you this. I'll change the question for you guys.
I was going to mention another player.
Okay, go ahead with that player then.
Biotish has become an ascending center for your, and you got him at pick 146 in the 4th round. And so the Diggs pick, as good as it was the one that was the biggest no-brainer. Because if they got wiped out at 17, the thought was that they would take Diggs in the first round. But the fact that they trusted their board, they took CD, and then the draft came back around to them. And it's rare that happens.
Yeah.
Very rare that happens. They just happen sitting in the middle of the board, and Diggs got to him at 51. But you just got a starting center that is ascending at 146. Those are the ones that you should pat everybody on the back in the room, because the Lamb and the Diggs are no-brainers. Those are no-brainer picks. The Biotish one was the one, Wisconsin center. Can we, he's not really highly rated. They hit one on that guy.
Yeah, that one turned out pretty nicely, even though at the time it didn't seem so to me personally, because I felt like, they're doing just fine with Joe Looney and what he's been doing there after Travis Frederick being out. But you look at now that time has gone by, and you look at, where it's at from where it was and the development, and he hasn't been absolutely perfect, but I think he's giving you a solid game, and he's giving you what you need at the center position, taking into account all the other issues you've constantly been having in the rest of the O-line. So I think they got really lucky to get a guy like him at that in the 4th round.
So I'm going to flip the question on you guys. We have been taking the first round pick out of it, but if you had to compare Diggs to Parsons. I'm sorry, not Parsons. Diggs to Lamb. Which was a better pick for the Cowboys?
Lamb.
Diggs.
Why? Tell me why.
I think the thing with Lamb is that, to me, you look at the development. I still think there's some questions about Diggs. I think there's still some questions about him being a complete player. And I think that, the interceptions and all that, the ball skills, no question about that. When I talk about complete player, the willingness to tackle, the willingness to be in there, the willingness to mix it up and stuff like that. Lamb, to me, is I think Lamb's a complete player. I think Lamb will do whatever he has to do to have success. He's not going to turn away from things. He's going to go out there. If they ask him to go make a big play, he's going to find a way to make the big play. He'll block out on the edge. He will do whatever you have to do. So if you just talk about the complete player aspect of the two players, Lamb over Diggs for me.
I go with Diggs as the better pick just because of the value, just because of the second round and the first round and how Lamb kind of fell to them. They've both been great in their own way. I think Diggs, they're both going to get contracts coming up, maybe one of them probably here in a few months, I would think. And I don't know about Lamb, but I think Diggs will be the highest paid cornerback in the league. And so, they've both been really, really good, all pros. They've both been all pros. So you get 2 all pros and then a Pro Bowler in the 4th round. I mean, that is you'll never be the 1964 draft with 3 Hall of Famers, but that has a chance to be one of the top drafts of all time if these players continue to go in the direction they're going.
League missed on both those players.
Yeah.
League missed on both. You took advantage of the league on 2 players that that we're talking about is who's better, and they're both really, you could throw a blanket over both, but like I said, the league just showed you right there. Dallas did a great job of being in position to make this thing happen.
Real quick, I need to make a correction. I said Reggie Robinson was not playing football. He actually is. Chris Beam, our producer, just told me in my ear that he actually is on the Washington Defenders in the XFL. Will be playing in their championship game.
They play against the Arlington
Still playing
team.
in professional football, not obviously in the NFL,
Good.
but still playing in professional football. Good for him.
Let me just say something about Reggie Robinson and that draft. Those guys right there, they got – I don't know if you say they got screwed, but they did. They did. He is a player. He's a fourth-round pick from Tulsa. He's a special teams guy. He needs preseason games. He needed to go out there and show what he could do, block a punt, be a gunner, play some snaps on the fourth quarter. He didn't. Bradley Anai, Ben DiNucci, those guys needed to do that. They needed to play, just like all these young players. And so it's very unfortunate for those players in 2020, those undrafted guys. Give Terrence Steele a ton of credit because he didn't have that, and he figured out a way to do it in camp. But some of those players I thought were, it's just unfortunate that they didn't get those snaps.
To your point, Reggie was a Will McClay pick. That was Will. Will was championing that pick, and the problem is they couldn't find a spot for him.
Yeah,
they tried to play him at corner,
yeah.
safety corner. They're doing the same thing with Josh Ball right now.
Yeah.
They're trying to find a spot for a guy that they picked in the fourth round.
It's one of the reasons I love what's happening with the XFL and the USFL now, because for guys like them, maybe they do get that second shot to go play football, and then they can work their way back up into maybe getting an opportunity in the NFL.
Anybody think that maybe, I wish they could figure out a way. Could they merge?
Who? USFL and XFL?
Yeah.
You got to talk to the owners of those leagues.
I know.
That's their choice.
I already got to talk to Goodell. So
yeah, you got a lot on your plate here.
Well, it's like which league is which. Just get it all together. I don't know.
I get
where
confused.
All
I
the
see
teams
football
are.
and I'm like, is this
football.
XFL?
Yeah.
Is this USFL? I get a little confused. But I will tell this. I actually have enjoyed some games here in the offseason. I like some of the rules around XFL.
Yeah.
Like it's an entertaining product to watch because of how they have it with the extra points and the scores. You can play around with that thing and make it really interesting in the last.
Do you watch
bit of a
baseball? No. Do you watch hockey? No. Do you watch NBA basketball playoffs?
Yeah.
Some?
Well, my son's into it, so I have to watch a bit with him.
I'm just saying, for those, it is, people that love football, it is something else. You know, a lot of people like.
It's my thing right now because I'm not really that into a lot of the other things. All right, let's take our final break. When we come back, we got two more drafts we want to talk about. We want to talk about 2001, and we want to talk about 2022, which happened. Those players just played last year. We'll talk about that when we come back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Want to use the Cowboys locker room's favorite products? Check out the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. Right now, you can get the Jack Black Playmaker, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The Playmaker includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word Cowboys. The Jack Black Playmaker, $10, free shipping.
No one knows where this market will go. Right now, it feels like a wild ride. But one thing's for certain, there's a way through it. And the experience and guidance of a Merrill advisor can help you get there. Because where there's a bull, there's a way. Find an advisor in North Texas at ml.com/bullish.
Merrill, a Bank of America company. What would you like the power to do?
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, registered broker-dealer, registered investment advisor. Member SIPC, a wholly owned subsidiary of Bank of America Corp.
Hey, honey, can we talk?
Of course. What's up?
Well, I just thought you should know I've been curious about the new Dr. Pepper strawberries and cream.
Have you felt this way a long time?
No, I just think I'd really like the taste of Dr. Pepper, swirled with layers of flavor.
If you feel that way, I think you should try it, babe.
It's amazing. I mean, you're amazing too.
New Dr. Pepper Strawberries and Cream. The new flavor you deserve.
Back to the break.
This Mother's Day, give mom a gift like no other with Dallas Cowboys gear. Shop brands like the Wild Collective, Touch, Wear by Aaron Andrews, and more at the nearest pro shop or online at shop.dallascowboys.com. A Fanatics experience.
Welcome back. Final segment of the break. We're talking about the draft. We're giving draft grades. We will do that at some point here in this conversation. I'm going to make you guys give me a grade for each of these drafts. Let's talk about the 2021 draft. That's where the Cowboys landed. Maybe by some people's estimations, a bit of a blessing. It wasn't necessarily all they're doing, but they land Micah Parsons in the first round. Second round, they get Kelvin Joseph. Third round, they get Oso Odigizua, Chauncey Golston, and Nashawn Wright. And then in fourth round, they got Jabril Cox and Josh Ball. Fifth round, Simi Fehoko. Sixth round, Quentin Bohanna and Israel Mukwamu. And then in the seventh round, Matt Farniok. Best pick of the draft outside of Micah Parsons. And this one's a little harder because there's some interesting names here.
It's got to be Osa is what I think. But I would say this. I think because Osa, I think, is on his way up. The fact we'll see with him and Mozzie playing next to each other, I think that will be a good combination. That'll help Osa have that opportunity. He just keeps getting better with this coaching staff. And the next one to me would be Chauncey, because I think Chauncey's got an opportunity as well. Those three techniques, those guys that play on that outside shoulder, that get up the field the way that they do. And so, yeah, I kind of feel like that those would be the ones that I would surely keep an eye on.
This has a chance to be the 1990 draft where they took
Smith,
Alexander Wright, Stan Smagala, Jimmy Jones, Kenny Gant, and Dave Harper. And it was a really good draft.
Was that Emmitt Smith?
Yeah, because of Emmitt Smith. Like that, it was a really good draft because you got Emmitt Smith.
Are you saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Are you saying that Micah's just so great, doesn't matter what everybody else does?
I'm
or
saying it's
do you
going
think the
to
rest
be,
of them are not going to be as
It's going
great?
to be a good draft because they got lucky and they got Micah Parsons. And I don't know if these other guys. I mean, as great as that first round pick was, the second round pick was not a good pick. Mm-hmm. It's not. And Kelvin Joseph he has time, I guess, to turn it around. I think, but so far it hasn't been. Second round pick at cornerback. Barely playing special teams. They got to get guys off the street to play corner because guys are hurt, and not the second and third round pick. Let's don't forget Nashawn Wright in there too. So they've had Jabril Cox. I mean, they had some guys.
It was crazy. This is like the longest list. Like this is where you had the most picks, and you look at all those names, and I'm like, nah.
Not yet.
Well,
it's a not yet draft.
Mukwamu has a chance.
It's so early. Let's be clear.
Mukwamu has been better than Nashawn Wright.
Yep.
And that was a 6th-round pick, and he's been better. We're still waiting on Jabril Cox. That's one of those things. And talking to some guys in the organization about that, it was always, one step forward, 2 steps back with him. With getting him on the field and things. So, and Simi Fehoko, I see he's doing a great job of catching fish. I saw on his Twitter thing he had a really big.
I saw you gave him a shout out for that.
I tell you, that's a
nice
looking fish he had there. So I might have to get him on the boat here soon.
He's not going to be the best Fehoko on the team.
Well, that's that's the thing about
probably not.
But see, that's the thing too. In Bohanna, we've been waiting. Everybody. Nick for years.
Big hopes for him.
Nick has asked for 2 things in this organization: give me a vertical route runner and give me a big sloppy guy in the middle. And
he's gotta.
And that's that's the thing with Bohanna. That's 27 games, and we're all kind of like, is he active this week? Is he inactive? What are we doing over there? So there's a lot more questions about this draft. Josh Ball, to me. There's a 4th-round offensive lineman. I think Awesome Richards, who they took right now in this draft, is a better player than Josh Ball. Just watching him play, I know he's a better player. So they've gambled on some of these guys in this draft, and it hasn't paid off for them like they thought it would.
Yeah, I think the fact that they had to go out and make a move for a Gilmore, the fact that they drafted Mozzie, to me is as much an indictment on what they've seen from the cornerbacks in this draft, what they've seen from Quentin Bohanna. They're like, we're not getting what we need, so we're going to have to go either back to the draft to get it, or we're going to have to go out in free agency.
They traded for Hankins. They traded for Hankins
as well, right?
Hankins.
That is a huge
because Quentin Bohanna, and I know it's a 6th-round pick, but I'm going to also be real honest and fair here. The Nashawn Wright pick was Dan Quinn went to Corvallis, Oregon, and worked that one out. He also went to Lexington, Kentucky to see Kelvin Joseph. He also saw Quentin Bohanna that day. So there's some times where you go yay, and then other times you're like, whoa, what were you thinking there, bro?
I don't know how far we're going to go on this, But I mean, I think 2022 the guys have been more productive than 2021, and they have half the time.
Let's run down those names real quick. 2022, you got in the first round Tyler Smith, who's been really good.
They proved a lot of us wrong on him.
Great pick.
Second round Sam Williams, third round Jalen Tolbert, fourth round Jake Ferguson, fifth round they had a number of picks there. Matt Willetsko, Deron Bland, Damone Clark, John Ridgway, who's no longer with the team but playing a prominent role in Washington, and then the sixth round Devin Harper. Tell me the best pick of that draft, because other than Tyler Smith, there's a lot of names you could put up there and say, I think this guy is the best or will be the best of this draft.
Got to be Bland.
I mean, Bland was a great pick.
Yeah, see, they proved us wrong in a couple of areas too. And me personally, I was wrong about Tyler Smith. I was too high on Jalen Tolbert. Well, Let's Go, I think, is one that's got some promise to it. I like what they do with Awesome Richards, Matt Let's Go. You got maybe a couple young tackles there. Bland, he went to school at Fresno State. He should have been playing at Washington or UCLA or USC. They stole him. Then Harper, I think the thing with Devin Harper is the linebacker they got in the sixth. That cat can run. And I think that, he's one of those guys that when maybe this is the training camp for him where you start to see, oh, wait, they've got maybe some depth problems at linebacker. No, they don't. A guy like Devin Harper steps up and helps them make some plays.
And also, if they were really, really like worried about tight end, they would have signed Dalton Schultz, especially when no one was signing him. Mm-hmm. Or they would have said, I can take any tight end in the first round if they really wanted to. Maybe not Kincaid, but they would have taken other guys, and they could have addressed that. So Jake Ferguson, to me, is good enough. Him and Hendershot combined, they're good enough to say, you know what, we like where we're headed here. Yeah, we could get better. They went second round, but Ferguson's a good enough pick too for them liking what they have.
And when you think about it from this standpoint, the number of guys in this draft that last year's rookies flashed, which that's what you're really trying for me. That's what I'm trying to see in that first year. Sam Williams, Jake Ferguson, Matt Willetsko, even though it was for a short period in camp, he had some moments where you're like,
that
oh, I
last
think he can
preseason
play.
game, he was better than ball, and he was hurt the whole
exactly.
camp. Yeah,
Deron Bland.
He might be missing the best
Damone
pick.
Clark.
That might be the best pick of them all.
Yeah, Damone Clark.
He was off boards.
Oh, yeah.
And they said, no, we have a chance. He's going to play, and he's going to contribute this year. We were wrong about him, too.
Now, we'll see how they develop at this point, but they're all flashing at this point, which is what you want to see in that first year.
Okay, let me ask the panel a question here real quick before we get out of here. Sam Williams have more sacks this year than DeMarcus Lawrence?
Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a year for him where he's going to come into his own.
He led the team in tackles for losses. That's amazing considering how limited he plays.
Yep.
I think that teams will give more attention to a guy like DeMarcus Lawrence. Therefore, he's going to be busy dealing with that. Meanwhile, giving a guy like Sam Williams a little more freedom opportunities for him to take advantage of.
I actually wonder if this year we'll start to see them pop Tank down to defensive tackle when they're in obvious passing downs and put Sam Williams on the outside. I think that may be your best kind of lineup with Oss at the other tackle and then put Michael on the other end. I think that you give me those four, I think you can do some damage, some real damage. All right. All that being said, we're going to go back through these drafts. I want you to give me a grade for the last 5 years worth of drafts. Let's start with 2018. Where would you grade it?
We should have done this right after discussing everyone.
All right, I'm running back down. Van Der Esch, Williams, Gallup, Armstrong, Schultz, Mike White, Covington, Wilson, and Scarborough.
B.
Yeah, I would say B+, but a good, really good, solid top to bottom. Got good players there.
Yes, B as well.
All right, 2019, Tristan Hill, Connor McGovern, Tony Pollard, Michael Jackson, Joe Jackson, Donovan Wilson, Mike Weber, Jalen Jelks.
C-.
Yeah, I'm a C+ because you didn't have a first round pick and your first round pick made it to the Pro Bowl, so that's pretty good. But still, some of these other, C+.
Okay.
Sure, same. And the plus mainly because of Wilson.
Yeah.
Okay. 2020, Lamb, Diggs, Gallimore, Robinson, Biotish, Anai, and Danucci.
A+.
What?
A+.
A+.
Can't get better than that. I mean, how could you get better than that? I'm sorry if you guys disagree. I mean, I don't want to.
I was just going to go straight A.
Okay.
Straight A. Okay. Amber.
I don't know anything about straight A. Like that's never happened to me. Straight A.
Let's go with an A.
All right. So we had AA and an A+. All right. Let's go to 2021. You got Micah Parsons, Kelvin Joseph, Odigizua, Golston Wright, Cox, Ball, Fehoko, Bohanna, Mukwamu, and Farniok.
C plus.
C plus?
I don't like it.
I know.
You got one of the best players in football, but it's a C plus. It is a C plus because of the quantity they have. If they had 2 or 3 more guys step up, and they're gonna, and maybe it's Osa and maybe it's Golston, and that would take the C plus to me to a solid B, maybe even. I think solid B if those guys stepped up, but I'm going to go C+.
What about Mukwamu if he also steps up?
But also, we're 2 years out of
hard,
that. You know, like you keep thinking, oh, we're only. To me, it feels very fresh, and you think, oh, let's wait for them. But it's like it's already been 2 years.
And they got one for sure.
They got one.
Well,
for sure.
2. Let's not. Osa's a player.
Osa's a player, but
they've got a lot of potential Fs on here too.
And the thing about it is they backed into Micah. Let's just be honest about it.
That counts too.
It counts, but I'm just saying.
Sometimes the draft gods smile.
Yeah, that counts too, man. There's some luck involved.
But not only did they back into it, but they were like, let's see if we can get a 3rd-round pick out of this. I don't think the Eagles or the Giants are going to take this guy at 11. Let's trade, or at 9. Let's trade back to 10.
Especially when you're holding on them corners.
Right,
those corners go in front of you like that.
Let's just move back. And I mean, if somebody would have screwed him over and been like, yeah, we told him we were taking Devontae Smith, but we're really taking Micah, they would have slept okay.
Yeah, and that's fine until now. But the quarterback on this team, they tried to select every quarterback in that draft almost, and then they finally got to the 4th round and were like, well,
yeah, they took him.
Dak Prescott. So I mean, sometimes it just happens like that. You happen to luck up. And,
I say B- because you got a guy that's competing for Defensive Player of the Year. But those other guys, they hit a lot of other guys, and none of them have really hit yet.
Took Charles Tapper before Dak Prescott.
Sure did.
Yeah. So did the rest of the league, by the way. The rest of the league passed for 4
Charles
rounds.
Tapper's a nice man.
Is he somewhere? Is he still playing?
I don't think so.
No, he's probably doing some in business. Probably
a really good guy. Yeah.
Really
good guy.
Last draft.
Tyler Smith, Sam Williams, Jalen Tolbert, Jake Ferguson, Matt Valetzko, Deron Bland, Damone Clark, John Ridgeway, and Devin Harper.
A minus for me.
A minus.
Yes.
All right.
B plus.
B. Has
So-
a chance to be a plus with Jalen Tolbert.
And Sam Williams, I think, can maybe take it to the next level.
Let's go with Clark. Clark would be the one that could take it to an A.
Exactly. If he starts to be a real player, now you just killed it.
That's the thing. I still see a lot of potential with a lot. Of these guys, and some of them,
which you should in the second year. By the way. Yeah.
And Bland, and we talked about Williams, even Ferguson, Tolbert. We haven't seen that from him, but these guys are guys that were thrown out there, and you needed them to step up and give you something as rookies, which you know that there's a learning curve to happen there. So I think that they did pretty well first year, and they can definitely take us their next step this second year. So far for me, A minus.
All right, that's our draft grades. We appreciate you guys joining us. We'll be back next week. Next week, we actually get started with rookie minicamp toward the end of next week, so we'll have more of that. And make sure you check us out tomorrow. We'll have some fun content for you guys for schedule release. Till then, for Nick Eatman, Brian Broaddus, Amber Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?